Hello then, welcome back to my channel. In today's short lesson, I want to talk to you about strategy with sixes. I want to give you 6 useful tips that you can apply over the board to improve your game. So without further ado, let's get started. Now to begin with, you can see an opening reply to a 4-5 from a money game. White has rolled a double 2. Now it is correct here to make both the 11 point and the 4 point, which you can see by the analysis on the right. Any other play would be an error or even a blunder. But what is the rationale behind this play? Now making the 11 point is correct here, as it is 6 away from green's blot. And also white's open 5 point. We can see the completed position after the roll on the bottom right. Now, if green were to make the golden anchor on a subsequent roll, it would be blocked by the 11 point because it is 6 away. So unless green were to roll a double 5, for instance, he wouldn't be able to clear the anchor. Now, if green doesn't make the anchor, it would be much harder for him to escape. And of course he is under threat, and we have many numbers as white to make for 5 point. So here we can see the benefit of making the 11 point, because if green makes the anchor, he's blocked. If he doesn't make the anchor, he's under attack. So now let's look at the first of 6 positions. Now, how would you choose to play 2-1 here as white? Now the correct move by quite a large margin is to make the 11 point. Now by doing that, which is 6 points away from green's anchor, it would force green to break the prime with 4 extra rolls. We can see there as white we are stuck back on a 23 point, and we really need green to break the prime to help us escape, unless we roll a 1-6, which is only 2 in 36 rolls. By making the 11 point in this scenario, we force green to break the prime with 4 extra rolls. If you were to roll a 6-1 or a 6-2, that would be pretty disastrous. And also double 2 and double 1 play pretty awkwardly for green, moving his prime forward. Now, it's really important when you play to consider the bad rolls for your opponent. Try to think about backgammon holistically, not just about your good rolls, but also about the bad rolls for your opponent. Let's look at position number 2. So here white has to play a 4-2. Now the right move here is to play 13-9, 6-4. Now some players might automatically make the 11 point here, which would come out as a blunder. Now why would that be a mistake? Now the reason is white has fully escaped the checkers and is 65 pips up in the race, which is a huge race lead. So why bother making a point which you are going to need to break on a subsequent roll and leave a direct shot? So by this play, we are only leaving 10s to hit, which would just be double 5s and 6-4. The alternative play of making 11 point will leave 2 stripped points in the outfield and will result in leaving direct shots on future rolls. So being 6 away can be a liability when ahead. If we just look at a comparison of tip 2, here we can see having the point is both a blessing and a curse. So on the position on the left there, making the 11 point would be a curse because white is ahead in the race. Making the 11 point could expose future shots, and green has better timing with 4 checkers on their 7 and 8 point, so they do not need to leave the anchor straight away. However, on the right, as a comparison, the rate is much closer at 12 pips. Green's timing is much worse, and by making the anchor there on the right, Green would be forced off with many sixes, and double six is blocked as a super joker. So anything besides making the anchor on the right would be a blunder, whereas on the left, it's much better to just play 13 to 7. So there we are. Be careful whether the blocking point is a blessing or a curse. Let's look at position number 3. White here has to play a 4-1. So the correct move here is to make the 10 point. And the tip is to aim for 6 away from the gap. So here you can see there's a gap on our 4 point in White's home board, and making a 10 point is 6 away from the gap. Anything else besides his play would be a blunder. Now, by making the 10 point, which is 6 away from the 4 point, we are restricting White's ability to fully escape. Only 6-4 and double 6 would bring a checker to safety. And also we are making a potential blocking point for a 21 point anchor. So if Green were to roll a 2-3 and make the 21 point, that would be blocked. So aim for 6 away from the gap. Number 4. So here White has a 5-3 to play. Notice that 1 is on the bar, so the 3 would be played automatically. But then how do you choose to play the 5? Now here the correct move is to obviously come in with a 3 and then to play 1 off the 21 point into the outfield. Now this might look a very risky play, leaving 3 blots that would be under attack by Green's blots in the outfield, but it is necessary because any alternative 5 would be bad. If we consider if we played 8-3 with a 5, that would let Green leave the anchor with a 6, which would minimise our winning chances by about 6%. So this is a good illustration of when to take measured risks. So even though we are breaking our anchor and leaving ourselves with 3 blots, the alternative of breaking our 8 point and giving Green escaping numbers is just too big a risk to take. So choose a smaller risk, break the anchor and keep Green trapped. Do not allow your opponent to escape. Number 5, White to play a 3-1. Now notice here that White is playing a containment game, trying to stop Green's checker from getting to safety. White is down 32 pips in the race, and in these situations we need to think about potential super jokers for our opponent. Now of course if Green were to roll a double 6 here, he could bring the checker straight into his home board, and then pretty much the game is lost. So here it's really important to block the double 6 super joker by making the 14 point. You can see on the left the 2 best plays bring another checker to make the 14 point, and by doing that double 6s are blocked for Green. Now that might only be 1 in 36 rolls, but nevertheless we will kick ourselves if we don't block that occurrence from happening. So that's tip 5. Finally, I have a more advanced position here. Number 6, how would you choose to play 5-2 as white? So the correct move here is to make the 2 point. And the tip is to create 6s to break anchors. So here, instead of blocking 6s like we've seen in some of the previous positions, we want to create 6s to force green off the 24-point anchor. So here we are also taking advantage of green's blots in his home board. If there was a variation and green's 3-point was made, it would be an error to make the prime breaking play. But here, because of the weakness of green's home board, we can make the trap play. We can force green off with a 6, and then we can hit him, close our board, and so on. So as well as blocking 6s, we can also think about creating 6s, looking for stripped points and looking again how bad rolls would play for our opponent. So there we have it. There are 6 useful tips with 6s. Number 1, consider bad rolls for your opponent. Number 2, being 6 away can be a liability when ahead in the race. Tip number 3, aim for 6 away from the gap. Number 4, do not allow your opponent to escape. Number 5, block any super jokers. And number 6, creating 6s to break anchors. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope these tips are useful to improving your game. Please like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. I started this video with looking at double 2s, and I have got a video, lesson 22, talking about how to play all the double 2s as an opening reply. And there are many other videos with grandmasters such as Mark Olsen, Dirk Schiemann, Zdeněk Ziska, and so on. Have a look at my playlist, enjoy my content. Thank you very much for watching and your support. See you next Wednesday. Goodbye.